Leadership is no longer a doing game. It's a being game. The truth is it's been that way for some time, but with our current state of incredible pace of change and disruption, that is the key now more than ever. There's tons of information that we can have available at our fingertips, books we can order, sessions that we can take, things that we can Google and instantaneously get the knowledge, the information to then do or put into practice or action. But in a rapidly changing environment that's fundamentally changing and challenging our long-standing assumptions, the bigger question is, can you think, feel, act, and actually be a leader with presence that is greater than the external circumstances, especially when disruption hits? Can you guide your team through that journey of the unknown? Because there's a lot of unanswered questions. We don't know what is going to emerge on the other side of the environment, and we get to be creators of that. When things pile up and change happens at a rapid pace and people are left unsettled with what the new way of thinking or being is, we've got to guide others through that process of thinking, feeling, acting, and being greater than the external environment, which essentially is moving them out of survival mode, right? Our own natural fight, flight, or freeze response into creation mode. This was so evident in a number of conversations that I've had with leaders around the globe in the past week. Just last Friday, I spoke with somebody out of Germany who is leading a team across China, India, Ireland, Germany, France, the US, and the UK. And as their team is in high demand for production of certain key materials that are fostering the growth of this organization, the ability of the teams to move out of stress of lockdown, stress of parenting with small children running around with homeschool, right? Elder care issues, loss of loved ones, financial stress potentially with other family members having been impacted financially in their jobs, right? All of these multiple stresses that we're all dealing with. And helping them really not only ground their own nervous systems, but get out of those hormones of stress and the adrenaline and the cortisol and be able to see a new future that they can create together. How do we do that quickly? And that's the thing. Creating the future starts with being able to see the future. And if we're in the hormones of stress, we can't see the future. So that's step number one. We get to condition ourselves to see what's wanting to emerge. But that's harder than we may imagine because we haven't necessarily trained ourselves or conditioned ourselves into attending to what's shifting in the landscape to be able to create something new. If you're distracted, if you are just coping, if you're just kind of getting through, you're not in a place to want to create. And it's very hard. It's actually kind of annoying when someone suggests being the creator. You're like, you go create your own experience. I'm over here dealing with the real world. Thank you very much, right? But as I talked to a leader in Hawaii last week, she said, I'm done. I'm done with coping. I know that I can have greater impact, and I want to take charge of my energy and direct my energy. I know that there's more my team and I can create together, but I really want to be able to get there faster. And I teach this stuff and I still come into confronting my own ability to shift from that state of survival into creation. When things pile up, when life gets full, when just one final change feels like that straw that broke the camel's back, right? I struggle with it too. Last week, for example, I felt like I was the hub with a lot of different spokes of different sources of external changes kind of hitting me at the same time. There was a client project that kind of went completely upside down. There was a new leader coming in another organization. A lot of uncertainty as to priorities within that particular organization, shifting players in that organization. some changes with my children's school environment, little COVID outbreak, a little shutdown in one school, and then the other one had some other limitations. My father, unfortunately, he's been dealing with some healthcare issues, and we had a healthcare emergency. He's stabilized now, but it was all in one day, along with closing on my dad's home. That overload moment of that day, as things were kind of coming in, I was trying my regular practices to shift out of survival into creation, to be the leader who thinks, feels, acts, and is above the external circumstances. And I struggled with getting out of my analytical mind. I was stuck in the how. Have you ever done that? Just stuck in the how am I going to do this? How am I going to take care of this? And you're in reaction versus creation mode. So it's hard to access in that moment how you can shift. Until in this case, I literally actually stubbed my toe, and literally my body went one way, my toe went the other way. And in excruciating pain, it was sort of a message to say, slow down, pay attention, attend to your environment differently than you are. Now, I'm hoping that I can save you that pain by offering you a simple process that, had I accessed just moments before, I wouldn't have had to go through a week of a sprained foot and a certain amount of pain. This is the process I got reintroduced to last week myself, and am now an even greater fan of. Let me share this with you. If we want to be a leader who knows how to overcome their current level of survival mode, stress, disruption, and really shift into creation faster, the first step, there's 4 steps I'm going to introduce you to. Number 1, it's actually pausing, and in your back-to-back schedule of your day, unplug, stop, get up from the Zoom, walk away, walk outside. It is literally the pause that is necessary to empty out and create space, to not just think, but then to shift out of your analytical brain and drop down a little bit. And so the pause is the first. The second step is to actually intentionally slow your brain waves down from high beta into at least alpha or below. Now, the way we do that, and there's a ton of different practices out there. You may have one. There are a lot of different breath work routines that you can use to actually slow your breath down, synchronize your heart and your brain together, and actually get into what they call heart-brain coherence, because there's actually more neurons in your heart than there are in your head. And one of the simplest ways of doing that is through literally 60 seconds or up to 3 minutes of slowing your breath down and imagining attention comes from your heart center and breathing in and out from there. That's step number 2. As you do that, you go from high beta to alpha at least, to get out of your analytical mind. While those sound ridiculously simple, when you're caught up in gotta do, achieve, it's really hard to unplug. So those first 2 steps are critical. Third one is to actually ask yourself, what is crumbling here? What structure is crumbling that I may be clinging to? And in my case, that day when I felt like I was the hub and all these spokes of stress were coming in towards me, the structure that was shifting was a certain dynamic with my father, where I literally had been in a certain dynamic of father-daughter, and now with the sale of his home and unfortunately dealing with more healthcare issues and elder care and assisted living, the dynamics are changing. And the structure of how I had thought about the conversations, the relationship, the communication with my dad was shifting, and I needed to shift into a different kind of way of being with him to allow peace to enter into this next phase of his life. For those of you who have gone through the elder care journey, I'm sure you're familiar with that shift. But the question is, what structure is crumbling? Because the more that we cling to the old structures, the more that we actually go through greater pain. And then the 4th question is actually what wants to emerge now. And what I invite you to do now is actually, with that 4th question, get out a piece of paper, create a circle in the center of that piece of paper with an open space for what wants to emerge now to go in there. And then I want you to write past on the left, future on the right, me on the bottom, and them on the top. And when you start to think about what wants to emerge now, if your analytical brain comes up or an emotion pops up like, oh, what will they think? That goes into the them box. Or, oh, I don't know what I could do because I'm not capable. That goes in the me box, right? That's a limiting belief. Or I've tried XYZ before. It'll never work because it's never worked in the past. That goes in the past area. Or gosh, I can't imagine how we're going to engage people in this new solution in the future. That goes in the future bucket or the space. So as you find ways that you distract yourself through what could emerge in the present by looking at the past, the future, yourself or them, jot that on the periphery, and then there's a space through which something new has a chance to emerge. I hope that this practice, these 4 steps, help you to become a leader who is really being greater than the external environment. Let me know how it goes.